Doing?
Hey there. Very good, Fred. How about you?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. We got a lot coming up on this hour of cruise control.
We do.
Patrick, if you could close your mic, that would be great. And we're going to tell you a little bit about Alfa Romeo potentially going away in the U.S. Now, it's according to a Autoblog article, but we'll build the case that it might happen, which is not a great thing, is it?
Well, it's not. Actually, of course, this will be the second time they went away. They went away originally in the 90s, but they gave it a good shot. Well, I mean, we haven't pronounced them dead yet, so we won't say that. But
Yeah,
doesn't
but
look good. Doesn't look good.
yeah. Patrick, if you could close up your mic, please, that would be great. And then we're going to talk about Nissan. Nissan is bringing out their new Murano, and they certainly need new products for sure, don't they?
They sure do, and Murano has always been the most stylish SUV, in my opinion.
Yeah. And they certainly, when it came out, I remember it was groundbreaking. We'll take a
It
look at
was.
this model and see if it is groundbreaking, if it continues that trend. And then Subaru has a very limited edition BRZ, and they're going to talk about that. Plus,
Yep,
hybrid plans for 2026. This is a very, very powerful hybrid, and we'll talk about that.
that's right. And Dodge is still celebrating the Hellcat Hemi with its Brass Monkey Durango. I like
Brass
that name.
Monkey, the funky monkey, chunky
Brass Monkey
monkey.
Durango.
If you're a Beastie Boy fan, you'll remember that song, the Chunky Monkey. It was about a bar in Brooklyn, believe it or not. They called it the Brass Monkey.
Ah,
But this has got a Hemi in it. It could be the last one that we see with a Hemi. And then why could the Lincoln Nautilus maybe be banned in the U.S.? We'll talk about that.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean they won't build it. It just might mean they'll have to build it in a different location. We'll see.
Some somewhere else for
And
sure.
lots going on. I'm really proud that the Corvette ZR1 set a speed record.
Yeah, with Mark Royce, the number two guy at GM at the wheel. Pretty cool, right?
It is cool, and it's fast.
Yeah, it's very fast, very
It is
fast.
really fast.
Their fastest street car. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about Porsche, some of the things they're doing to make their 911 even faster, the touring model. We'll talk about that. And then you and I like to talk about collectibles, right? Well, Audi has
That's right.
brought out an Avant that celebrates the history of the Quattro legacy and IMSA. And I think it's going to be an instant collectible for sure.
I think so too. It's not my favorite paint scheme, but they didn't ask me.
Yeah. For some reason, they didn't ask you. I know.
Well, there are probably some good reasons, but the fact is, it's a heck of a thing to drive. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to have an at the wheel review of one of our favorite brands, vehicle from Genesis, the GV80.
Love them.
Yeah, 3.5T Prestige all wheel drive in that cool green color. You can get that in the shiny metallic version that we reviewed, and then you can also get it in matte green. Same color, but in matte. So you got your choices there, but just gorgeous machine. Sort of a shooting brake style crossover,
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
which I've always loved that style.
Yeah. So
Very sleek.
that is all coming up next on Cruise Control. Stick around. We will be right back, and we will have all of this. Also, we're always looking for your comments or suggestions. You can put them in the chat, and we're glad you're joining us on YouTube and live streaming with us, enjoying the live stream. We will be right back with Cruise Control, and the show gets started in just a few seconds.
This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on
Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
That's right. Your ride is about to begin. Wow, wait a minute. It has begun. Welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. How you doing, Les Jackson?
Very good. Let me close the door and fasten my seatbelt. You took off without me here. I barely stayed in the car. And yes, we are rolling, and we got some, great news, and we have not so great news.
Yeah.
But this is the way the industry is.
Yeah, Stellantis still has big problems, and one of the brands that has a big problem is Alfa Romeo, and they have an incredible oversupply of vehicles. Some of their performance vehicles are going away. Matter of fact, in 2026, Stellantis is looking at dropping some brands. Could Alfa be one of them, at least not coming back to the U.S.?
Right.
That would be a loss, but...
Well, it would be. Sadly, it's never been a big seller in the U.S., even in the old days with the Giulia Spiders and the Graduate, which edged up sales, but never big. And I don't know why, because if you drive an Alfa, you'll love it.
Yeah. Well, you got a story on the Nissan Murano, right?
That's right. The Murano is a new Murano is coming back, and it's being unwrapped right now. And they've kept their very, very stylish look. As you said earlier, they were groundbreaking when they came out like 25 years ago.
Hard to believe, but true. Yeah,
it is. And they still are. I mean, as an SUV, it looks car-like.
Yes. Well, here's a car that looks like a car, a sporty car. That is the BRZ. They have... Subaru has brought out a very limited edition of this vehicle in purple. I don't know why purple, but it's purple.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's the royal purple, I guess.
Royal purple. There you go. Well,
I'm not saying anything more about the purple.
Okay.
And Dodge is still celebrating the Hellcat Hemi with the Brass Monkey Durango.
Yeah.
That's a cool name. That's a reason to buy it right there.
There you go. That's a reason to spend $100K.
Well,
how about the Hellcat engine in it, though? That is the last Hellcat available, I think. Hemi V8 in their lineup. And, hey, I'm sure that will be an instant collector's edition. But that's just a little bit about what's coming up on Cruise Control. So stay tuned, because we're going to jump into all of these stories, including that Alfa Romeo story, right after the break. We will be right back. I'm Fred Staab. He's Les Jackson. You're on Cruise Control. All right, Les, I think... Is it a time to buy an Alfa Romeo? I believe it might be.
I think so.
They have a 193-day supply of this vehicle.
That's a problem. Generally in the industry, you don't want more than a 30 to 60-day supply.
Yeah, that would be good, and even 90 would be decent.
That's right, but 3 times that that ain't good. But it's good for somebody who wants to buy one, because I think you can really, really strike a deal.
Well, and then their performance variants, the Quadro
Quattro, Quattrofolio.
Quattrofolio. I believe I had some
Right.
of those mushrooms on my pasta last night.
That's it. It-
Beautiful. Those are beautiful vehicles.
They are.
But they're just not selling.
They're not, and I don't think it's price. It's not
Look, you
inexpensive,
can
but
you
I don't think
can
it's that.
do this in it. You can kick the rear end out and smoke the tires.
Absolutely, and you can just have an awful lot of fun driving. They've always been known for having the best feel of an extension of your arms and legs,
Well, that's pretty good.
and they're beautiful cars
Yeah.
inside and out. But somehow they just appeal and always have to just too much of a niche market.
Well, I would say this would be their Quattrofolio would be a BMW M3 killer, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think any decent driver could, you know, pretty well dominate the track.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what's happening with Alpha, and we'll have the full story when we come back. But it's sad. And then other brands are definitely being considered for going away. We always get flack from everyone saying, "Oh, you're saying that these brands are going to go away," but we base it on information. And you look at the day supply. Ram, by the way, I'm not saying they're going away, but they have a 203-day supply of vehicles. That's because they kind of got the wrong ones in inventory. Too expensive, people didn't buy them, right?
Yeah. It's a heck of a good truck. But again, you got to have the right models. And
All right. Well, here we come.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine, and Fred is over there, but I'm going to ask him a question.
Okay.
And that question is, if you could buy any Stellantis product for half of the MSRP, would you do it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would too.
I would probably go for a Hellcat-based vehicle because they're going to be collectible, and a lot of people that have them wreck them, so there'll be a lot typically coming out of car shows. Yeah, there'll be parts availability, and if you just don't wreck yours, it will be rare within a few months.
Exactly. Yes, this is because they're just a little bit more capable than most of the drivers who buy them. But
yes, well,
different discussion.
Alfa Romeo. We were all excited. I remember doing this story when it came back to the U.S. market, right?
Absolutely.
We talked about it. Quadrifolio, the performance variants with the telephone dial wheels, and just they have a full range, a couple of different size SUVs, a couple of sedans. Well, Stellantis, this is an ongoing story, is in trouble financially, and they are trying to cut things out. There's some talk, according to an Autoblog article, that Alfa Romeo might be on the chopping block in the U.S. They returned in 2015, but they might be on the chopping block just in the U.S. They're not going to go out of business, but not come here. You think about this, Les, and some people say sometimes, "Oh, you guys you're just being you're just trying to get people to watch your show," but look at the numbers. They sold just 6,800 cars so far this year in 2024, and that's the lowest sales figure since 2016. That's not good.
No. They went out of this country back in '94 because they had only sold about 4,500.
Yeah.
Alphas.
Well, at least they're ahead of that.
that's, that's the new sales motto. It's better than. I mean, it's just a case that for some reason, and I honestly don't know what it is, people are not attracted to Alphas the way I think they should be. If they got in one and drove it, I think you would say, "Boy, I really like this thing.
Well,
I'm going to buy it."
maybe they should have drive events,
Maybe
where,
they should.
yeah.
And sadly, I think they've got a reputation back from way, way too many years ago that they weren't very reliable,
Well, they've
which
been,
isn't true anymore.
except for the tonale that has a huge, I think they're recalling about 80% of the tonale, the
Yeah,
small
well, yeah.
crossover. But you look at their day supply. Day supply typically means, if we stop building them, when would we run out of inventory? Typically, sub 90 is a good number. 30 is a really good number.
30 is a great number.
But anything at 90 or below is a decent number, or average, at least average. Like, for example, Toyota has a 39-day supply. If they stop
Right.
building vehicles in 39 days, they would run out of them. But Alfa has a 193-day supply. They have been oversupplied with vehicles.
Not good. That's more than 6 months.
But does it mean a deal? Does it mean it's time to buy one?
Oh, I really think it is. But again, you need somebody who's in the market for it.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure you can strike a heck of a deal. They're not going to ship them back to Italy.
No, but could they ship one to my garage? I mean, I remember my wife rented a car. It was a Giulia, and it was beautiful. She didn't want to give it back, and it's sad
Right.
to see that in a rental fleet, right? I was like, you got what?
Yeah, and you don't expect that. Now, my wife owned a Spider, an
Beautiful
Alpha
car.
Spider for 13 years back in the 80s and 90s.
It didn't rust
Loved it.
away?
Well, of course it did. But it was a great car, and I kept it running. It was never not capable of taking her to work.
They were fun cars. I had a friend that
Oh,
had
boy.
one. His dad owned it, and he could use it, and it was nice. It was a fun little car. I remember driving around in it with the top down and thinking, hey, this is a fun little car to go around in. But so what do you think? Will the Alfa Romeo brand once again depart and head back to Italy? We'll have to see.
I think it's inevitable, but
Yeah. Well, we will talk about Stellantis a little bit more when we come back, and also show you that brand new Nissan Murano. Stay tuned to Cruise Control with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. So tell me about the Spider, Les. What color was that one? Was it red?
it was white.
Oh,
with
white.
black top, black
Yeah.
interior.
Yeah.
And it was air conditioned.
Wow.
And even the air conditioning worked for all the 13 years that she owned it.
Wow.
But again, I'm the guy who builds cars.
But rust never sleeps, right? So
Well,
it did.
no, it didn't. You never saw it, but you could tell underneath where at the bottom of the doors were beginning to rust out.
Was it
little
that
bit
they
of
didn't
rust
paint
in the
them or
rocker.
something, or what?
Well, I think it was the quality of the metal, frankly. I think they just didn't have good, properly annealed metal for the stampings, and they rusted.
Yeah, they probably didn't paint or coat the inside of the doors with that wax stuff that they do now.
No,
Drains for the doors, maybe. It's a
That's right.
convertible, so convertibles tend to rust. The older
they
ones
tend
did.
to rust. The A pillars, down. If you could get inside and look, they start to rust. So, but it had over 60,000 miles on it.
Wow.
It was used every day.
Yeah. Well, the one my friend had, I believe, was silver with a black interior. It
That
had some
was-
kind of wood nice actual wood on the dash, I remember.
That was the Quattrofolio version.
Okay.
Had a little bit of cladding.
Yeah, it was nice. It drove
Oh,
nice.
they were very nice, yeah.
Their Ocean Parkway, where I grew up, it's a 60-mile run. You take it out there and put the top down, and it was great. It was.
That's right.
It was a great little vehicle.
It felt, when you were doing 60, it felt like it was doing 100.
Yeah. Well, I wondered collectability. Remember, Fiat did the Fiat 128 based on the
128 and the 124 Spider.
Was it the recent one was the 124 based on the MX-5 Miata, right?
Right.
That was a cool car when it was revealed.
Actually, I really liked that car.
I thought it was neat. And it had the Fiat engine, the multi-air engine,
right?
But obviously based around the Miata. But they did a great job of making it look not like a Miata.
They did, and I thought it drove nicer than a Miata.
Yeah.
It looked nicer, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the Miata.
Here we go. We're coming back in on cruise control.
Cruise control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Les, let's talk a little bit more about Stellantis. If you remember back, the folks at Stellantis, the CEO and others said, well, certain brands have 10 years to prove that they're worth it, to get their product available and revealed and get it in the showrooms. Seems like that time's been halved, if not quartered.
Well, I think we both expected that when we saw not too long ago that they were given 10 years to clean things up, that was way too generous amount of time. Mm-hmm. And it would probably be more like 3 or 4 years.
4 months.
Yeah. And it's looking like tomorrow.
Yeah. Once again, we're just prognosticating here. Chrysler has hardly anything. They it's funny. We did that story of the them bringing back the less expensive van, and someone commented and said that's from 2018. It's like, nope, that's the one they're bringing out. That's the less expensive Voyager. So they're going to have the Voyager and the Pacifica, and that's it. That brand just is based around minivans, right? Chrysler.
Well, it is. They're very good minivans.
But that's not a hot segment right now.
Well, it's not. And it should be, but I think that right now it's just completely swamped by SUVs.
And so you look at that. Dodge is undergoing a major transformation. People are wondering, will people go for EV versions of the formerly of the Hellcat and the Charger? So there's a question mark there. Ram had its situation where they basically were stuck with a lot of vehicles on their lots because they had the more expensive vehicles in inventory, and it's not what people wanted, and they went elsewhere. You never want to let somebody leave without buying something.
You sure don't.
Or going over to Toyota or Ford, right?
It's too easy to do that, and even Silverados. The fact is, you're looking for something at this level, and if the Ram stores don't have it in stock, you leave.
Yeah, what about Fiat? Fiat's got hardly anything to sell. They have the 500e. Interesting story. 500e, of course, very low range vehicle that it's just not selling. They sold like a couple of hundred of them, and it has low range. So instead of saying, okay, we're just not going to do that anymore, they're investing $100 million into making it into a hybrid and a battery that will give it, range that makes it competitive with things like the Chevy Bolt, right?
Yeah.
300,
Well,
200, 300 miles of range, something like
but
that.
they may as well do that because that model is incredibly popular in all the European countries. So,
True. You see a lot of them, and I was in the
yeah.
UK not that long ago. You see a lot of them, and but in the meantime, they have something that's not real popular to sell at all. To be kind. So where does that leave them? I don't know. What do you think they do with the brands?
It just seems to me the brand's going to go away and,
Yeah.
and get absorbed or just go away, period. But maybe they'll get absorbed by some, multiple dealership brand. I don't know. And I don't think they quite know.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you do? We have a local dealership here that's a dual dealership. They sell Fiat and Tesla.
All right. Well, at least they have Tesla.
Yeah, but
It's a weird combo, but
it's a strange combo.
yeah. Well, who knows? But put it in the comments if you have an idea what's going to happen with the Stellantis brands in the U.S., of course, and then there are the international brands that we don't even get here. I think
Right.
Stellantis has 14 brands. I think that could be cut down to easily 10, 8. Worldwide. I'm not as familiar with the other brands that they have, but let's talk about another brand that's having its difficulties. Although this week they revealed a great vehicle, and that is Nissan. Right? Nissan's been struggling a little bit, but this week they came out with the all new 2025 Nissan Murano. And by the way, it has an elegant design and seamlessly connected experience. if you were wondering about that. I remember the original Murano having an incredible interior that was just, we were like, wow, look at that interior. I don't know if this is as groundbreaking as that, but it certainly is a nice update. We don't really have much information on this other than its seamlessly intuitive connectivity.
Well, I mean, you would expect that. Everybody has to have that kind of connectivity or you just can't compete.
Well, they have Google built in, which is like
which
having
is
that all the
very
time.
smart.
And a 12.3-inch touchscreen, which has become standard on a lot of vehicles. A Bose 10-speaker audio system, which is tuned for immersive sound throughout the cabin. I like the color. It's an interesting color.
It's an interesting. Well, I like the front end of it. I like the what I'm describing the front ends because my car, the K5 Kia, has it. It's common with Camrys. It's that kind of hatchet look.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can describe it. It's probably way off, but
Yeah, and it's interesting. Great wheel design in the back. It almost has, this Murano has that what they call the coupe look, which we never understand because coupe is 4 doors, but in our coupe is 2 doors. But now they're saying a coupe is a 4-door, but it has a little bit of that roof line. Of course, it puts on an LED light show. There's all kinds of lighting involved. That front end look, we even saw it on the Kicks, so it's kind of, they're inexpensive crossovers. So it's kind of I guess, the new face of Nissan. But we'll see how well it does. It has all the safety shield. It's funny, those slotted lights remind me of a Hyundai. Don't you? Don't they?
Yes, that is becoming a very popular look.
Yeah. Of course, the big screen all the way across.
Again, very popular.
Sort of an oval steering wheel, which is becoming commonplace because it's
Very
hard to
common.
see the flat screen between the wheel. And I don't think the interior is as earth-shattering as the first Murano, but it's good, and it's certainly that product needed to be updated. Of course, it has the tufted seats, which I like, and you're gonna.
I think this thing may sell very well. They always people always were drawn to the Murano. They ended up buying the Rogues all the time, but the fact is, it really was and still is just a handsome SUV, and I'm not a big SUV aficionado.
Right.
This just great looking.
Yeah. It they need a winner, that's for sure. And
Well,
Murano
I hope
needed a update, so
Yeah.
this makes sense. But we'll have more information on it when it becomes available. But as normal, sometimes when these things are revealed, I mean, it has things like full width LED tail lights and an available two-tone roof combination, which they kind of brought back. So we'll have more on the 2025 Nissan Murano as we learn about it. But when we come back, we're going to talk Subaru and hybrids. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We will be right back. All right. Well, new models coming out. Sometimes you don't know a lot about them, but it's pretty exciting. We have a couple of things coming up. Scout is going to be revealed this week, and that will be interesting. That, of course, is Volkswagen's pickup truck brand, and named after the International Scout, which was a very popular vehicle back in its day. International Harvester, corn binders.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been the automotive press has been talking about Volkswagen's pickup truck for quite a while.
Yes.
To where some of us were beginning to doubt they were actually going to come out with one.
Right. They had some products in Europe and that, but if you're not in the U.S. market with a pickup truck, you're not playing in the top league of pickup trucks, are you?
No. And to my recollection, they've never had a pickup truck in the U.S., have they?
Well, didn't they have the that sort of pickup truck that was made up from the Golf? What was that name? Remember that?
No.
It was a pickup truck based around the Golf. Basically, you have the two doors of the Golf, and then it had a little bed on it. I don't remember what it was.
Was that at the time? Was that at the time of the Subaru Brat?
I think the Brat came after it. But hey, we're coming back. Let's get ready.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, as promised, we're going to bring you over to Subaru now.
Yeah. Do you like purple?
Well, I'm not a big fan of purple cars. I like purple blueberries.
You mean you're not gonna buy one of these purple BRZs?
It does not go with my eyes. I'm sorry.
This is a collector edition, Les.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we like the BRZ.
It's great. It's a great car. It really is.
Two-door, rear drive, fun car. Would be a great autocrosser, one of these.
Yep. Affordable,
decent power. It's got boxer power, of course, and it's sold as the Toyota 86, pretty much the same car. It hasn't sold well. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. The BRZ never sold particularly well either.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because you would think people looking at a Miata, if they drove this, they would think, well, hey,
this is pretty nice.
This is pretty nice.
Well, now they have a collector's edition. It's the 2025 BRZ Series Purple Special Edition. Only going to make 500 of them. Exclusively with the 6-speed manual transmission. The debut of Galaxy Purple Pearl exterior color paint. That sounds so good you could probably eat it.
It sounds like grape jelly, which is my favorite jelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's got an improved performance with a standard STI short throw shifter.
I love it.
Flexible V-bar. Is that a strut, like an underhood strut? What do you think?
The Z-bar?
No, V-bar.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not terribly sure. I think something like that.
You would wonder why it would be flexible if it was a support strut.
Why is it flexible? And
Yeah.
with a 6-speed manual, it means you don't have to lock the doors.
That's right.
Nobody will steal it. They don't know how to
Doubles
drive
as the anti-theft device,
it.
right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Unique
there- I
exterior and interior accents, priced at $35,445, which is not bad. We don't have much information on it other than it's purple and apparently comes in a truck.
Yep.
Little teaser photo. Yeah. Black upholstery, gray exclusive stitching, leather wrap wheel, a door panel, shifter boot, parking brake boot, ultra suede seating surfaces, perfect. So your rear end doesn't slide around when you're auto crossing, right?
Yep.
6-speed close ratio manual transmission and automatic high beam, high and low beam with height adjustment, stability control with track mode and sport mode. And yeah, there you have it. Handling prowess and just a 2-door sporty car.
It is making its debut today at the Subie Fest, Texas at Lone Star Park in Dallas.
Wow. So if you're there, shoot us a message and maybe
Take
even a
some
photo.
pictures.
Yeah. I never thought about a purple car. I don't really remember many purple cars. Oh, well, yes, I do. A Prowler. That came in purple, didn't it?
Prowler purple, but also there was the Plymouth. The Plymouths back in the 60s had a purple color that had a great name.
Plum Crazy.
Plum Crazy. Yes.
Yeah, with white stripes. You couldn't go with like another color stripe. You needed to like calm it down.
That's right. But a friend of mine bought a 289 powered Maverick, and it was painted anti-establish mint. It was a mint green. So,
I like when they had fun with those names.
Oh, I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, here's some other news that's a little bit, more mainstream for Subaru. Remember, they had their plug-in hybrid model with the Crosstrek, one of their most popular models, the Crosstrek. But the hybrid was not that great. You only got 17 miles of range, and it didn't really increase the horsepower. It didn't really increase the mileage that much. Well, that's about to change. There's a brand new hybrid system in the works, and let's listen to what it's built around. It's built around a 2.5-liter engine. What's interesting here, they have a 2.5-liter engine, but this one makes less horsepower. I think the current one makes 180-something. This makes 158 horsepower and 154 pound-feet of torque. But since it's a hybrid, the two electric motors that are integrated into the system add 118 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque.
That's impressive.
So you're looking at 276 on horsepower and 353 on torque. You put that in a Crosstrek, that's kind of a rocket ship, isn't it?
That's, that's definitely going to be one of these great sleeper vehicles where you get up next to a even a Porsche.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
and it's
and
all-wheel
slam
drive.
it.
All-wheel
Yeah,
drive with a drive shaft. This drivetrain will also go into the Forester, which will be, that's great horsepower for the Forester, but in the much lighter Crosstrek, that will be a really smoking deal. They're selling it now or pre-ordering it now in Japan, and I love this. It comes with, if you order right now, it comes with a portable fridge freezer that can be powered by the 1500-watt plug in the back of the vehicle.
why not?
I would take that. Why not? I would use that.
I put my ice cream in it.
That's what I was thinking, Les. That's what I was thinking. I have these favorite yogurt pops, and I don't like that even just coming back a couple of miles from the grocery store, they can get soft. I would put them
That's exactly right.
in there.
I like. And why do I see the Crosstreks equipped this way getting into the rally circuit?
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, that is also interesting. You do some suspension work on that, and yeah, that's always been the knock against the Crosstrek. It's a little slow, and I don't think.
Right.
And oh, by the way, they're saying this could have like a 600-mile range too, and get in the
Wow.
low to mid 30s as far as MPG on the highway. Might have to pick one of those up when it becomes available.
Well, it's pretty cool. But and I I last drove a Crosstrek last fall, and boy, it was quiet and very, very smooth.
Yes, surprisingly smooth. I agree. I drove one. Even the Wilderness version with the bigger tires was still smooth on the highway, and they were pretty choppy tires. So,
Yeah, usually that's not the case.
yeah, slightly noisier, but not objectionable. Not like where you hear it coming miles away. Nothing like that.
Like a big jacked up pickup truck.
Exactly. So not an issue, but definitely excited. Subaru needs some more horse pressure in their lineup. People have been saying, "Oh, why don't they do a turbocharged version of the Crosstrek, or bring back a turbocharged version of the Forester?" I think this might be a better way to go. You'll have even more power. You'll get, if you keep your foot out of it, you'll get incredible range, and you can keep your frozen pops frozen on the way back.
I really like that idea.
I like that idea too. I think if I get one, I'm going to say, "Where's my freezer combo? I want that in the back."
That's right. Remember when banks used to give you an ice crusher when you
Yeah,
opened a new account?
yeah, something that everyone needs. Yes, I remember that.
Exactly.
Here's
Yeah.
a clock radio. There
Yeah.
you go. Or a vacuum cleaner. Just stuff that you like. That's random, but there you have it. That's something we're excited about. Another thing, we look for future collectibles, and these next two stories are gonna kind of come down to a future collectible. Brass Monkey, the Funky Monkey, Durango SRT Hellcat Brass Monkey Edition. It's the 20th anniversary of the Hemi-powered Dodge Durango, and this is new for 2025, the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Brass Monkey. We're going to tell you a little bit more about it when we come back after the break, but this has future collectible written all over it. We're also going to tell you about another vehicle that could be collectible when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned. The idea of Brass Monkey. I remember the Beastie Boys song, Brass Monkey,
Right.
the Funky Monkey, the Chunky Monkey, which I believe they were talking about a bar in Brooklyn, New York. But
Right. Well, I think that's part of it's true. But the term brass monkey goes way back to the British Admiralty in the 1700s, and the expression "it's so cold it'll freeze the balls to a brass monkey" not on a Brass Monkey, but to a Brass Monkey. That comes from that time. And basically, it was the pyramidal stack of cannonballs on the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the rack that held them was called the Monkey. And it was
Okay.
made of brass, so the cannonballs wouldn't freeze to it.
That was like the ready ammo rack, basically.
Right. So, it's a well-known. Well, if you were in the British Admiralty, it's a well-known thing. And I think they're still big in the antique world. If you can find old ships of the line Brass Monkeys,
Mm-hmm.
they're quite expensive.
I did not know that. And if you needed to fire some cannonballs, you wouldn't want them frozen to the Monkey.
You certainly wouldn't. You kind of need them.
And being a ship that has a lot of brass on it, because you can polish brass, and that keeps you
That's
busy
right.
at sea.
And it doesn't rust.
It's also very, very satisfying to polish brass. Do you ever know?
It is. I have an actual brass fireplace thing surround, and I polish it a couple times a year. It is. It's
Brasso. You got to use the
I
brasso.
Yep. Well, I would normally bring it to my buffing wheel, but I'm not going to
Take the whole thing apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Brass Monkey. Hey, that's my recollection is a little bit newer from the 80s.
Well, that's right.
Late
It's a
80s.
great name.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the Durango, the Brass Monkey Durango, which fits. It really does fit.
I think future collectible. Wouldn't you say that?
I'd say so.
I don't know how many are going to be built, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But we're also going to talk about the Nautilus potentially being banned in the U.S. Wouldn't that be crazy? It's the Lincoln Nautilus, but we will talk about that and other brands that could be affected dramatically by that. So, all when we come back on Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
And we are back. And Fred and I are just running through the what's going on. We're talking about the Hellcat Brass Monkey version. Great name. It evokes all kinds of things.
Brass wheels, I believe, is this kind of
brass wheels
and
I'm sure
trim.
there are other little brass Easter eggs that can be found in it.
Yes.
Which are little surprise elements in vehicles that the stylists put in that they don't tell you about.
Last Hemi, I would say, 707 horsepower V8 in any Stellantis product.
Yeah. If you've never pounced on the accelerator on a 700 horsepower anything, you really should do it.
Yes.
It's just ridiculously satisfying.
And I'm corrected. It's not 707. It's 710. They found a little something in the tune.
Well, of course, I demand more power.
They found a little something in the tune.
And stick it in there. It's good. And you were talking during the break. You don't know how many they're going to make. I think with the condition of Stellantis, they're going to make as many as they can possibly make if the orders come in.
Yes.
I certainly would.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting vehicle. 8,700 pounds worth of towing capability, yet it can run the quarter mile in 11.5 seconds and has a top speed of 180 miles an hour. You do want to keep it under 150, though, if you're towing.
And this, I'll remember that. Because I wouldn't want my Airstream to physically
be in the
airborne.
Airstream. Yeah.
Think about that. That's utterly remarkable. This is an SUV, a big box.
Yeah. Yeah, it just shows the more you horsepower you throw at something, you can make it go fast.
Yes, you can. Presumably, it would be a bit tricky to handle at that speed.
Yeah. But get it now, because I bet I think you're right. They would sell a lot of these. They will, but they're not going to sell them cheap. $113,720.
Okay. Now that's not cheap.
That's beefy. That's a beefy price.
That's more money than I had in my budget for.
It can
for
tow
Brass
8,700 pounds. You just can't let that go. But
well, you're right. But at 100 plus grand, I wouldn't be able to afford anything that weighs 8,700 pounds to tow.
That's right. That's right. Well, this next story is interesting because you and I, people I think don't know about this next vehicle or where it's built, right? It's a large SUV, the Lincoln Nautilus, right? Beautiful SUV, large screens, Lincoln brand. You're thinking this is built in Detroit, maybe somewhere like that, somewhere in the Midwest.
Right.
It's actually built in China. And there's a problem with that. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know it's built in China because it certainly does not look like a Chinese vehicle, so whatever that looks like. But according to Ford Authority, there is a lot of thought that vehicles built in China but sold in the U.S. and Canada and Europe may have high tariffs imposed on them, and they could potentially be banned. This is according to a Reuters article. China's Commerce Minister expressed serious concerns about potential restrictions for Chinese connected vehicles like the Lincoln Nautilus. And they're worried that these could be heavily tariffed or even banned. Now, that's one vehicle in the Lincoln lineup, but think about it. Buick, a lot of its vehicles are built in China. People don't realize it, but a lot of their
was the first one.
Yeah. I don't know if the general public cares. Maybe you can put it in the comments if you knew that the Lincoln Nautilus was built there, or a variety of Buicks are built there. Some of the Buicks are built in South Korea, but the vast majority of Buicks are not built here.
But these are factories that were built by GM in that case, and Ford in this case, that are staffed with some GM executives and so on. Obviously using Chinese labor, but so it is why wouldn't they be exempt from such a ban? And I don't know what the regulations call for, but
hey, well, here's my take on it. It's election season, so start lobbying.
One thing they're all very good at over across the river there.
What's it going to take? What's it going to take to make this Lincoln Navigator stay in production in China? How about a nice pack donation? What do you think? Am I being too cynical?
It's we have 12,300 lobbyists over on Capitol Hill. Flashing a lot of money around. Yep. So I think they've figured out a way to...
What's it going to take to make this happen, right?
That's right.
How much is it going to... Who's got a pen?
Hello there, Senator. I'm going to make your day for you.
Yeah. hey, maybe perhaps, we could send some Lincoln Navigators to Nautiluses to your staff to check
Yeah.
out.
Oh, yeah. Your entire staff.
And a trip over to
And
see the factory. You have to do a trip over
yep,
to see the
and
factory.
we'll give them to the Supreme Court judges. They'll take anything.
just sadly, their reality is somewhere in between what we're joking about.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure some cash is being dropped around, but
Yeah.
it's a dilemma. It's a dilemma.
It is a dilemma. I mean, we're talking about big, big, big money losses if something like this occurred.
Well, even in the Nautilus, would you want to knock out that vehicle out of a small Lincoln lineup? It's a crossover. It's a high buck vehicle. You would think that also building it in China, they're going to make some even better margins on it. So you wouldn't think they would want to knock that out of their lineup and just say, oh, well, we don't have that anymore, or build a factory in Mexico or something to do it. I mean, but manufacturers are doing it. Look at Polestar. Polestar, they were ready to bring out electric vehicles, but they were built in China because they're part of Geely, which is a Chinese company. And that was the plan. The factory was set, and then they're like, nope, we're going to build something in South Carolina. And they did it because they know if you have a tariff as is proposed, and it's bipartisan, so the tariffs are going to happen either way,
Right.
whoever gets elected. You would be building vehicles in China that basically couldn't be sold in the U.S., not affordably. So
It's an interesting situation, and how do you get yourself in situations like that? How do you decide to put a factory in a country that's essentially not been your friend
I don't know. That's a
for decades?
whole bigger topic. We'll have to get to that on the next edition of Cruise Control.
That's right.
We have some great stuff coming
up.
up.
Factory in Iran.
All right. On that note, time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.